Greenville has lost access to your Facebook account. Hold on.
I did it.
Oh, you redid it?
Yeah. I was
You mean to do it or?
Well, you can.
It looks
I know
like it.
that thing. It looks like it.
Oh,
is it your personal? Maybe.
Maybe. Oh,
No, it's like it's on there.
hold on. Continuous Jeff. Check. Okay. Mhm. Oh, we are live. 34 seconds we've been live. Did I say anything I shouldn't have said? So, okay, it is August 29th, 2025, Labor Day weekend coming up. It's been a busy week. So we'll talk about what we've done. And I guess this week, Olga, if you got some input on what we did this week. Nancy Mace was here on Monday. That was a lot of fun. How many people were there for that at Bimini's? That was a blast.
A lot of your friends.
We did. She had a full event, and there were a lot of people that were very anxious to kind of meet us. Some had actually seen us on the podcast here and all that kind of stuff. So, we got some more names, right?
And it was great to see. We had an event that people that we've never met before showed up, and because they either heard from us about the event somehow or from Nancy, but they didn't. They were anxious to just get involved with the party now, since for maybe Nancy or other reasons.
Yeah, we saw a lot of growth and a lot of people getting involved with the election, last year with Trump in 2024 and all that kind of stuff. We expect the same thing in 26 because these, I guess 4 years ago, there really weren't that many exciting elections or whatnot. But between governor, attorney general, what's going to be going on, and some other things, I think it's going to be. Obviously, we got the Lindsey Graham thing too. We got to deal with, but I think a lot of people are going to get really active and want to get involved and do a lot of stuff. So I think it's going to be a whole lot of fun. So it's going to be great. But she was here Monday, Tuesday. What did we do Tuesday? Oh, Pamela Vett had something at the clock at noon. Very lightly attended. Let me put it that way. And
we went, we shook hands, and we represented.
Yes. And we left. So, we've had an issue with Pamela Vett. Olga actually supported her, I guess, 8 years ago when she was running with. They both Catholic, both went to the same church, if you will, and I was excited about somebody being an accountant, understanding our issue on the school choice side, because it's a numbers thing, right? Mm-hmm. So most people, they don't understand the tax credits and all that, but I'm like, she's an accountant, she'll understand it. But as soon as she got elected and when the program, really tanked, especially in 2016, after they did some tax law changes, 2016, 2017, she refused to even ever talk to us about it. So for about, so for a lot of years, we've been trying to get her to talk. We sent a letter on Greenville GOP letterhead, I guess last November, because she had actually attended one of our schools, Hope Academy for kids with autism. She had gone to the school and talked about how 1 out of 36 kids now have autism. We need to do this to help these children, all this kind of stuff. And that was one of our main schools. So I went and documented the funding that we were giving them when the school choice program was run by independent nonprofits. And then I documented the funding that school got after the government took it over. And it went down from, I guess, in the first 2 years, we were at 600,000, 60 kids getting $10,000 scholarships apiece. So I can't remember. We kind of look on the documents. Maybe you can share and put it on the screen. But it was, they were down to like $100,000. And I'm like, in the growth should have been going up because they've gotten more funding. So that school, my estimate, they should have had $1 million or $1.5 million to help those families and kind of grow out and provide funding that the school could count on. And she just wouldn't talk to us about it. So I sent that. Now, I will tell you in the past 2 or 3 weeks, or past 2 weeks, I guess, I did post that particular letter on her campaign page and as a comment to a couple other things. And I did get a phone call from her campaign finally, I think last Monday. And I'm like, hey, it's been 6 years or 5 years, 6 years. And this letter's been out there since last November. And I'm like, I only get a call because I start putting it on, online. And they're acting like I'm being rude or unprofessional because I posted it on Facebook. I'm like, it's because you never called me. I said, the only reason you're calling me right now, it's a lower level staff campaign person. I'm like, the only reason you're calling me now is because the chairman of the Greenville County Republican Party is putting it on Facebook. So what are we supposed to do? So I'm probably rude about it, but I told him, I said, well, I think it's a moot point anyhow. I don't, 6% in the polls. I don't think she's going to make it too far either. And since then, and they obviously didn't appreciate that comment, but since then, our frustration, our litmus test is how do politicians at every level, whether it's under your guise and your authority or not, how do you look at and handle these types of situations, and especially the litmus test of this school choice thing? And what her campaign tried to tell me, well, that's an issue with the General Assembly. I'm like, my response to that is, and as you all know, we have a weak governor in the first place. So I'm like, well, every issue is with the General Assembly. So why are you talking about any issues out on the campaign trail?
Nothing else, she has the bully pulpit.
That is exactly what I said. I said the governor or lieutenant governor has a bully pulpit and can get out there and pound the table. We don't create laws here with the Greenville GOP. But you know what? We do have a bully pulpit, and we can talk to people and talk to press people and stuff, that type of stuff, and bring things, to the surface, and actually try to make things happen and get the word out there. And, we try to do it. I'm a big believer in you got to be persistent, you got to be professional, but also be persistent. You can't be out there unprofessional, yelling and screaming, telling lies and all that kind of stuff. So we're not believers of that in any form or fashion. But I'm like, I'm only getting a call because I posted, this particular letter that the lieutenant governor has never responded to, which is, the frustrating part of me is the fact that every one of her speeches or presentations is, we have an open door policy in my office.
Nothing else, you figure you'd get a form letter back or something.
Right. I don't even get the form letter. I did get an email confirmation that it had been received. So I'm like, I know y'all received it. So I'm like, can we at least talk about it? But what you will see, and it's easy to beat up on us, right? Because, the establishment is against us. It's easy to say, jump on the bandwagon and, oh, Greenville GOP, they're just bad and they're rogue and they're crazy people and all that kind of stuff. No, we're Trump supporters. Like if that's a problem, especially Pamela Vet claiming to be a big Trump person. But, so I think she made calculations for her political career years ago of sitting there saying, it's better for me to side with the people that dislike us or dislike me and what we're fighting for, side with the people that are pushing government-run school choice and those types of things. And, I think they're figuring out that was a bad choice. So,
right. So,
oh, well.
So specific issue that Jeff is talking about is one thing, right? And we always tell people you should have your personal issue. That is how you become an expert and you can educate all of us. Some people claim that our school choice is personal issue. It's not the Greenville GOP issue. It's not. We don't even have kids. You want to argue that. It just became our passion, and yes, we are experts on any policy related to school choice, so we can educate everyone, right? And when we need anything pro-life related, we go to Ray, and we wish every one of you would have an issue so we can get information from you, because I'm not able to keep up with every issue out there. But with our lieutenant governor, she is not from Greenville. She resides in Greenville.
She's from Ohio.
Right, but resides in Greenville. We had literally one of our staffers here this morning, as an example, came up and asked, who else is running? What's the other female? So I told her, other than Nancy Mays, I told her it's Pamela Evans. She's like, who is that? She lives in Greenville. She has been invited to every single event, like formal event that we've had, every Christmas party. We have the biggest Christmas parties in the state as far as GOP. And the biggest part of Christmas.
We have the biggest convention in the state.
We mail invitations, we follow up with emails, sometimes with calls. I'm not going to say every time she gets a phone call, but she's gotten them. It is not fair, in my opinion, to for her her to expect to suddenly come and try to present herself to you if she refused to come to any of you in the last 4 years since we've been involved. It's just, to me, it's disrespectful. She lives 10 minutes from here. She knows where we are. So I know some people think we're too harsh on things like that, but we're just so.
Listen, and if you don't want to say these things, don't do these things. That's the confusing thing about it. I mean, and people love Trump. He just says everything. It's like, let the chips fall where they may. That's kind of what we do too, and we, at least on our issue with school choice, we know we're so in the right. We know it deep. We know everything about it. There's no way anybody on the planet can argue the other side. They try. They do try, but that's why I think she refused to meet with us, because she knew she was going to lose the argument. And if we could literally say, oh, well, she knows the facts because we've sat and talked with her. She's seen it. You can't deny it when you look at it. But if she then goes out and denies it or does works with the other side or doesn't say, hey, these kids are getting screwed over and we need to fix it, as opposed to, I want to be buddies with Chad Conley because I think he may help with my career and I think he's got more inroads with churches and pastors and all that kind of stuff. I'm like, you're making a bad decision.
So it's the difference between politics and governance.
Correct.
And
Yes.
they're not the same thing.
Correct. Yes. You're absolutely right about that. And how would you like to expand on that? Politics and governance.
Well, it's
because that has been a conversation this week about.
And unfortunately, because of our splendid education system across the nation, since it was illegally taken over by the national government, there has been the curricula has been built to eliminate the teaching of governance. I mean, I remember having a whole year of South Carolina history in the 8th grade when I was in school.
Wow.
I remember taking civics in the 9th grade and actually learning how government works.
Right.
It is really sad to have a conversation with, now it's up in the 30-somethings, but 20-somethings. And I spend a lot of time in Raleigh with legislature. And I stopped at a Young Republicans event coming back. I won't call the city because I don't want to embarrass them. And these 2 young people came up, very nice, respectful. They said, so what do you do? I said, well, I'm just on my way back from Raleigh working on legislation. And this young lady actually looked at me and said, how do you work on legislation without going to D.C.? The education system in this country has been designed for each following generation to not learn what local government does. They don't know that they can actually go to a school board meeting and say their piece where it may make a difference, or a county commissioners meeting. And the numbers don't even realize really they have a state legislative operation. They just think, well, all those state legislators do is they just take the money that comes from the Golden Palace up on Capitol Hill and they distribute it, which is part of the bad problem. But I mean, it's just, and that's governance. Politics is, I want you to be my best friend so I can get elected to the next office I run for.
Right.
And I will tell you anything that I can tell you to make you feel good about voting for me or supporting me.
Right. And I've actually seen elected officials tell one group one thing and later the same day tell another group a different thing. And it's not consistent. Now, I get that, especially with congressmen, it's every 2 years, or House reps, state House reps, it's every 2 years. You're in a 4-year or sometimes they're 6-year positions. I mean, you have to govern at some point in time. And I understand there's fundraising issues and all that kind of stuff. But I'm like, if you're lieutenant governor, you're the governor, or you've got you're the attorney general, or senator, 6-year senator. Yes, that's right. I mean, you've got to at some point, do the right thing for the people. And when you're still just politicking, there's a certain.
There's somebody in South Carolina that does that. Isn't there?
Who would that be? I don't know.
Actually, I think there are 2 of them.
There's definitely 2. So we're talking about the Senate stuff. So, but she just, you've got to do the right things by the people. And there's a lot of legislators and a lot of politicians that just don't do the right thing by the people. And I actually had a meeting earlier today. I won't say with who, but is a elected official, and it's like night and day with some of them. Some of them you can just sit down with, and it's all political talk. And some of them they're like literally trying to figure out the system and figure out what they can do right by the citizens and all that kind of stuff. And I don't think I've been snowed enough. I really have. I think we're past some of being fooled by people. But a lot of people don't like you bringing up and telling the truth about folks. So,
well, the thing is, a lot more people, thank goodness, are getting involved at the local level.
Yes. Yep. Ron?
I want to underline that. I have to speak, right?
Yes, you do.
But
Zoom
I've
in on
never
it.
heard it put so concisely to me. Exactly what we got with Bill Brady on the radio this week. And you haven't already done it, call Bill Brady's program and underline that, because that's what we're doing with this Constitution classes. We're teaching people that have never been taught the truth about our government.
Well, I've been fighting in my state on the education level for 15 years now.
We're working with the American Legion here to put on this program. And I want everybody who's a veteran and others are welcome to come to take this class, 6 weeks of your time.
And what Ron is talking about, we just got the details worked out this week with the location. But on September 20th, we are going to have 6 weeks of Constitution Alive as part of the whole Patriot Academy. Patriot Academy has Constitution Alive. They have the biblical citizenship, which I think is 8 weeks. Is that correct?
Yeah, 8 weeks.
This is 6 weeks. We're going to do it at the American Legion downtown, which is, for people here that are local, that's North Main and Academy. And that's that nice, granite building over there. That's going to be torn down because the city, they will build some skyscrapers there. Yes, the property's already been sold.
Yeah.
They're letting them stay in there until, they probably should be out already, but it takes things, but they're going to move over the old Blind Horse Saloon by the airport and by the convention center. That's where the American Legion is going to move to.
And they got a museum there. You can stop in afterwards and see the museum. It's the
Yes.
last chance to see that.
Yeah. Because the museum's open, I think, Saturday and Sunday.
You have to call.
Yeah,
If
yeah,
you're coming.
yeah.
By groups, they take a lot of groups through
Yep.
there.
Yeah, but on Saturdays it's open from 10 to 4, and then I think on Sunday 1 to 4. So what you can do is come to the class from 10 to 11:45, go upstairs afterwards, check out the museum, all that stuff. It's a neat thing. I had never walked through it, but I've talked to a couple of the guys that are part of it, and and they said the new location will give them the ability to expand and do some other things. So, and have more parking too. So because they can use the convention center parking. So
Civics though is a bit basic issue.
yes.
When you said that, that's not what we keep saying.
I'm-
You have a duty in your government, and especially veterans who have taken an oath to defend the Constitution.
Right.
Our elected officials don't even know what's in there.
Oh, yes, I agree with you on that. I have, but that, like I said, that's like fighting the education thing.
Teaching 2 of those classes.
Nobody wants to talk about taking local and state tax money out of the classroom to accept the money
Oh,
from the
yeah.
federal government.
Yeah, I agree with that. But that class, we got a couple training classes that are coming up. That one is going to be, I think, pretty exciting. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I can't go to the first one on September 20th because I'm going to a candidate school down in Columbia that day. But it'll be 6 Fogel will be up here. She'll help you guys. Ron needs help. I'm teasing. Yeah, but Ron and Al Brilliant will be conducting the class, and they've been meeting, and they actually were on Bill Frady's show on Wednesday. So they did a fantastic job, and they prepped it up and shared it with all the vets and everything. So it's gonna be
And if I
fantastic.
didn't say it, this is for their surrounding counties too.
Yep.
It's not a far drive to get near Greenville.
Yeah, so.
Oh, I know.
It's good. But I will also tell everybody may want to put on their schedule for November 15th. We're going to have a group that's going to help ask or offered us to do a training class for grassroots activists. That'd be Young Americans for Liberty and the American AAF, American Action Fund, or whatever. It's people that work a lot with the Freedom Caucus and all that kind of stuff. We have our issues or whatever, but they're doing that campaign train school that I'm going to on the 20th. If somebody else would like to go, we're not asking a lot of people to go down there because they're planning on doing one up here in Greenville in February next year. So that'll be easier from the travel perspective. But if somebody else would like to go, it'd be great because I can ride with you instead of driving myself. But this activist, it'll be a full Saturday. And I think it's going to be pretty exciting. It's something I've taken multiple times, and part of the real nature of politics. I will tell you, the first time I took the class, my jaw just literally, I said, yep, we've experienced that. They've done this to us. They've done that. They've done that. They've done that. They've done that. So, and it's just like it really woke me up the first time I took it, because it was like, you think all these elected officials, maybe we're past that a little bit, but you think these elected officials are there to actually, do right by the citizens. And there are some, but the vast majority, I'm a lawyer, legislator. I mean, they're shining their own boots with this stuff, and they're helping themselves.
About the
Swamp?
Well, yeah, the legislators who are lawyers who then get basically sound like me, they get put on a retainer.
Yes.
To protect them from having to do anything.
Right. And anybody that was there for the presentation for David Pasco last Tuesday, it was very interesting. We've heard it because this is the third time he's been up here, and we've seen him gone to some other places like that. But that's when if I'm a lawyer legislator and I'm a client and I'm going to trial, guess what? I just go hire a lawyer legislator. It was during the legislative session. I don't have to go to trial anymore. It gets postponed from, they've got exemptions from January until the end of July. And then if they have any committee hearings and stuff like that, so you'll see a lot of lawyer legislators that'll be on these committees that they have to go to Columbia all the time. And it's, why are they on a committee? Because they get exemption from trials. So you'll have criminals that are, years and years in arrears of not having a trial date. And it's because, they were smart enough to hire a lawyer legislator. And I tell people all the time, if you get into a serious problem, sadly, and I'm not saying I don't say this in a good way, but I'm like, go hire a legislator. That's a lawyer. That's the lawyer you want to get. You're going to hire the best lawyer out there, or the lawyer that put the judge on the bench.
And can keep you out of court.
And can keep you out of court. That's the problem. But that is what we're trying to fix. We're one of two states that where the legislature picks our judges. So us in Virginia. And actually, technically, our system's even worse, because at least in Virginia, if the legislature's out of session, the governor can appoint judges. But here, the governor can never do it.
Like what Mr. Trump should be doing right now.
Yes. Yep. It's just like a recess appointment is what they have up there. Yes, that's what Virginia does. So our system here in South Carolina, I point out that small technicality, make sure that you realize it's even worse. So we have Monday with Nancy, Tuesday with the Lieutenant Governor, Wednesday the guys were on the Bill Frady show. Thursday.
We had the rally with the Tea Party Patriots.
Yes, there's something. The Tea Party Patriots came in town, and they are doing a bus tour that went over at WRD, and some people spoke there. Actually, Congressman Timmons showed up for it, and a couple other legislators. Charlie James stood up there.
The citizen-only voting.
Yes, citizen-only voting, the SAVE Act. So South Carolina is one of the states that has a prohibition on elite, or they say non-citizens voting. But as we know, when we've discussed, when Olga became a citizen last year, we thought they were going to want some sort of, when she she went and got sworn in, and then we immediately tried to figure out, how do we get her registered? Do we do it online? Do we go down to Conway's office? Do we need to talk to somebody in Columbia? Because we just wanted to make sure we did it all above board. They actually told us, just do it online. And and I think I called Conway's office for the election guys, folks here in Greenville. I said, do you need us to come down there and show her citizenship? Because obviously that's not going to be in the system. She had literally been sworn in a couple hours earlier.
For the RNC convention, and I want to be registered by the time we went to Milwaukee. So we literally called and said, well, how do we get you the proof of citizenship? By the time we mail it to you,
we don't need that.
Can we bring it? And they said, well,
We don't need
we're not, we don't care. it, like we're not collecting it, we don't need to see it.
So you check a box on your online application that you're a citizen. Now imagine,
That's actually how it is in, I think, 44 out of 50 states.
I'm like, imagine, I mean, I don't read English, right? So say I'm foreign and I don't even read English. I just see a box. I just check. I'm a truck driver in Florida or California. I check a box, right? And what does somebody who came here illegally really care about, perjury, because that's what it is. And I'm like, I was shocked. So even though we have a law that prevents it, I don't think anybody's checking up, following up, or seeing, all these people that do get registered, if they actually are citizens. And I don't think that's an unfair thing to ask.
Do you have access to the voter rolls?
We do, yes. So, I mean, we have access to that information, but I mean, how do you go and check each person to find out if they're citizens, they're actual citizens?
You can't.
I don't think you can. Yeah, I don't. How did people know that she is a citizen or is not a citizen? We had people, I think, a couple months ago posting online about how Olga, she technically did not say she was a citizen. So maybe she's just pretending to be a citizen. And to pretend you're a citizen, that is a violation of law, and she's a criminal. I mean, it's just, it's another sidebar issue. It's very, but the SAVE Act is what they were pushing. The SAVE Act has passed the House already. I think it's out of the Texas senator was the main sponsor, Gosar. I guess it was his kind of bill, House member. And Timmons said he was one of the original, co-sponsors, whatever.
They were originally like 40, I think.
Really?
Signed off.
Yeah. So, but it has passed the House. It's sitting over in the Senate. There's a companion bill with the Senate, but I mean, obviously they'll take up the ones past the House, and they need to get it done.
That's in the Senate, so they don't have to.
So they don't have to take it. That's he's talking procedure issues is what they do. It's never ending, isn't it? But what they're going to try to do is make this one of those critical bills they can use a 50 vote versus 60.
I know there has been talk of actually trying to tie it to the NDAA, the
Yes.
Defense Authorization Act,
Right. Which
always passes because they can't pay their friends in the military-industrial complex. They don't do that.
it's all about the money. So yes, ma'am.
I
You were there.
signed this petition,
Yes.
and I was told by someone there that we could also do it online until September 9th.
Mhm.
And she gave me the
Website.
address, demandonlycitizensvote.com.
Demand only citizensvote.com.
In small letters, whether that matters, I don't know. But we have until September 9th. Whoever has not signed the petition,
So they're doing a bus tour or whatever. I think they're in Raleigh today. Probably. Because they were here yesterday. They were going to Raleigh.
Yeah.
While they're going on, you're not in session, I don't know, but I know. But I think they're going to conclude in DC at some point, probably that September 9th date or whatnot, because they were asking if people wanted to come up there and stuff. So you can sign the petition. I think on the side of their bus, they said 90% of all Americans support this.
Yes.
If you ask anybody normal, I don't know who the other 20%. But one of the gentlemen that was speaking, he said it's actually up to 87%. Their numbers, So I mean, why is it complicated that only Americans should vote?
Well, maybe
In the
that's
Constitution, right?
maybe that 13% are the non-citizens who want to vote.
They're voting. Yeah, right, yeah, that's probably true. So they were here. And that was pretty fun. So and then
And we had our Zoom meeting last night.
oh yeah, we did have a great zone meeting. Zone 7 met at the Pelham Road Library. We had a good crew there, 29 or 30 people. Yvonne gave a presentation on influencing folks, with the elections and all that kind of stuff. Her issue, obviously get more voter turnout and all those types of things. And we talked about the local elections and all that stuff. Special elections, we got a lot of that coming up. And then we had everybody in the zone introduce what their issues were and all that kind of stuff. So they scheduled their next meeting for, I think, September 30th. So, I mean, it's Zone 7, which is our zone. It's cranking along. So, Ray gave his presentation yesterday. Quick update on that. And do you have that, Senator, that committee?
Yes, I did make one mistake. Out of our 8 senators, 3 of them are on the medical committee.
Okay.
and including the chairman, David Burden,
Oh, Dave, Bird, yes.
and Tom
Dan.
Corbin.
Dan Bird.
Yeah, and Tom Corbin and Shane Martin are also on.
That's
the
our
committee.
three.
So we got out of the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Out of the 17 members of the committee, 3 of them are from this county, including the chairman.
Okay, all right. And when are they doing that hearing?
It's coming up in September.
Okay.
I forget the date offhand, but as far as we know, Cash's bill, and he's also a member of the medical committee. Cash's bill S323 is not on the agenda yet.
Okay.
So that's something we would very much like to see happen when they meet.
This is the bill. What's the bill?
S323.
It's one of the pro-life bills.
Yeah.
So-
What about the abortion bill?
Yeah, it would read.
It's more than just the abortion, but
Well, it does talk about the abortion pill, but it's going to restrict abortions to being clinically diagnosable, which basically would mean typically approximately 10 days after conception. Up to that point, it's when CHG, don't ask me, it's a chemical, don't ask me what it is, but
I'm getting messages, Randy.
yes, the bill would require that any clinically diagnosable pregnancy would be legal in this state. That's the key part. There's a few other minor details. Within the laws that's written now, and the bill would not change it, is that clinically diagnosable will be if the chemical CHG was detectable. That's normally after about 10 days of conception. Although there are some tests, they're not common, but there are some tests that could actually find it even sooner than that.
what we're doing through the Greenville party, we've got our legislative agenda, and we're going to have at the October 13th meeting a series of one-page simple resolutions. The one we're doing on the pro-life is going to focus on the abortion pill and the fact that they're mailing it, mailing it in and all that kind of stuff.
It's big news this week, right?
What's that?
The Costco has said they will no longer participate.
Yeah,
And they were like one of the top 10
Oh, is that
suppliers in the
okay.
country.
Yeah.
And Costco said we will no longer have.
Really?
It's
Yeah,
very,
they're finding out that the go woke go broke thing. People are understanding that. Ask Cracker Barrel.
yeah, it's very interesting. Almost on a daily underlying basis, you can feel things changing substantially, and it's not that it's necessarily being forced down their throat as of yet, but I mean, it's kind of, the community and the business community is waking up and said, we don't want to be on that side of the fence, that times are changing, and, my thing is, some people say, oh, California's lost. I think things will get so bad in California at some point it will flip over and, come back, but I think that's what we're seeing a little bit with the whole country. So CDC, they fired this new CDC director, and then you got four people, whatever it was, doing their protest resignations. I'm like, that's fantastic. I'm like, you guys are doing us the biggest favor on the planet, So I mean, but it's that constant, and it's like every day, and it's like it really then empowers the people to get out there and go do more stuff and push harder on these different types of things. And that's why what we're doing with the party up here is we're trying to get more organized, systematic about it. How can we do things on a larger, scalable scale, and actually make some real change, which I think we're going to have the opportunity to do. Because, the elected official I met with this morning is like, oh, how are things going? I'm like, it could not be going better. I mean, I don't know. I said, I've been a little out, with the health issue and that stuff, but I'm like, feeling better. We're ramping up, getting more organized about the stuff we can do. And it's a lot different doing this stuff now than it was 4 years ago. And we were kind of like, we caught the it's like the dog that caught the car, so, I mean, we know what we're doing. We know how to, actually make some stuff happen. So it's great. So, yes.
Do we have any new guests?
Do we have any guests that would like to introduce?
Sorry, don't put you on the
No, you're
spot.
fine.
I
I'm
know-
Will Watkins. I work for Congresswoman Sherry Biggs. I had a constituent reach out to me about a month ago, say that y'all do these every Friday,
Yes.
and just thought I'd stop by. I saw a few clips on Facebook and on the website, and just looked interesting, so I thought I'd stop by.
Okay. And what do you do for Congresswoman Biggs?
I manage her outreach here in the district. So when she's in DC for 3 weeks out of the month. I run the district in terms of taking meetings in the field and going to events and stuff like that. When she gets back, for her 1 work week a month, we take her out and do 5-6 meetings a day, 5 days, weekends and stuff like that.
Well, I don't know how many of us were attended the barbecue for Frank Waving. He had a great time.
Yeah, you did. It was
Um,
awesome.
yeah, we had a great time. I'm still waiting for our friend Dan for all our pictures from Anderson. Dan is,
Mr. Harvell.
we consider him our personal photographer now.
Yeah.
But I know he's been under the weather. Probably that's why I haven't seen pictures yet. So we haven't published them. But we had a great time.
It was fun. My only recommendation is barbecue.
He
Yeah.
just wanted barbecue.
Yeah.
not
She
the
had chicken. I'm like, I like the barbecue.
I second the motion on that.
It's kind of a joke, but
Well,
kind of not too.
I saw the announcement. It was going to be chicken.
But she didn't tell me
I
about the
didn't know.
announcement.
So Jeff went in with this whole waiting for the barbecue.
You already had your mouth set on it, right?
Well, you don't know. I mean, after the surgery, I was supposed to have a low-fat diet, so of course I did have a low. Before the surgery, we had which was on the
Saturday night
Saturday.
before your Monday surgery, we had a big barbecue here.
We had the big barbecue here, and I stuffed up on all the high-fat barbecue I could eat. And then the coming out party was going to be at Sherry Biggs' event, so I was going to eat up some barbecue. So I was like, chicken.
So the only complaint we had from Jeff that he didn't get his barbecue, but he ate it. Chicken was good.
Well, I'm glad y'all enjoyed it. It was we had 600 tickets sold before the Monday before the event, and so we're ecstatic. Jeff Duncan had like 200 at his first event. We were happy to have that many people, and then they just started flying off the shelf, and we had to adjust really quickly to fit that demand. But we were so excited. We had over 1,200 people there. Sarah Humphrey Sanders was a tremendous speaker,
Yeah.
and we're really looking forward to doing it next year.
Good.
Yeah.
Should be an annual event, so fantastic. And if you'd like me to come speak next year, I can. It's an absolute joke. I'm kidding.
Oh, I can see that all over social media now.
Right.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yes. Brian Davis wants to come speak. I will tell you, the big joke was, and I don't know if you were there for the Jeff Duncan one 2 years ago, but Drew McKissick was there, and I think he was speaking. This was so funny. And he was asking Jeff Duncan to come up to the stage. But instead of saying Jeff Duncan, he said Jeff Davis. And I'm not making it up. It's literally.
So did you go to the stage?
No, I wasn't there. But it was literally. But my phone started lighting up immediately. Like, you would not believe what's going on over here.
Speaking of Drew,
But it is in the state newspaper, so you can't believe
I
it.
have a little update. You don't even know it yet.
Oh, okay.
So do you want to let people know what happened, what the 5 ECs did this weekend? And I'll
Yeah,
let-
earlier this week, I don't know what day it was, maybe a day or two ago, to have, we all understand the local county party. We can, the chair can call a meeting at any time, and we have scheduled meetings. But I think we're 15 county or precinct ECs can call a special meeting. So if and you don't. At any time. So, I mean, if for some reason I'm like, oh, we're not going to have a meeting, you're coming to me asking, hey, we have this issue or concern. We want to have a meeting with the executive committee for the whole county. And I refuse. If 15 of you come together, you can call a special meeting. I probably won't refuse. So don't just come ask me and then we'll schedule something. But the same thing exists on the state level with the state executive committee. On the state executive committee, there are 50 voting members. Each county has a state EC, so there's 46 of those. 5 of ours, want to have a special meeting for this Sunday night Zoom meeting, so it'll be convenient for people to kind of go over the facts and circumstances of what happened in Pickens. Because Drew McKissick refused to seat Pickens and all that kind of stuff. So they called a special meeting to go through that, because next Saturday, September 6th, we've got the next regularly scheduled quarterly state executive committee meeting, which is at that time they're going to have a vote and decide what to do with Pickens. So who knows where it could be, and obviously Drew and his folks, who have pretty much the majority, except for how we won worked with some of the other counties to elect Tyson Grinstead to be our national committeeman as opposed to Chad Conley. We did win that vote. That was very exciting. But so they called a special meeting for this Sunday night.
So the special meeting basically was intended for each side, the person that filed complaint against Pickens, and also the Pickens leadership to have, I think they said 30 to 45 minutes.
30 to 45 minutes, and they decided to talk.
So everyone going into the vote next week can make an educated decision how to vote on Pickens. So the reply from state chairman today came and said, "Good morning, the meeting request has been received." So he received the request. According to section 799 of the SC Code of Laws concerning meetings of the state committee shall meet at the call of the state chairman or any 5 members and at a time and place as he may appoint. So 5 members requested a meeting. He continues, given that we already have a meeting scheduled for 1 week from now, Saturday, September 6th, and that is a Labor Day weekend with a great many of folks out of town, we will go ahead and meet at the time and place already appointed and previously announced. Layton will be sending out further details regarding that meeting.
So they were using to have a special meeting.
That's what it sounds like to me.
Yeah, yeah. And you heard that verbiage, at a place he decides. So
Right.
even though we sat there and said, oh, we wanted to be a Zoom call, whatever, in theory, I was waiting for her to say that, and he just scheduled it in the, way up in Oconee or over in Horry County or something like that in person.
People will go. That's
They
not-
probably, our side would go, but if we've done this, it's funny how, imagine it's in the rules. He just ignores it. So that's crazy town. And I will tell you, we've done this one other time. We called a special meeting maybe 2 or 3 years ago and I can't remember what the issue was, probably something with Greenville. Or maybe it was with Lexi. I don't remember what the issue was, but all we wanted to do was to discuss the map. And so we did it.
I think it was Oconee.
Oh, maybe it was the Oconee, when they took over Oconee, which they cheated that whole thing too. So we called a special meeting to go over it. And what they did is they proceeded. So we all got on the Zoom call and all that kind of stuff. The meeting, as soon as the meeting started,
They did the roll.
call.
There was a quorum.
So we had a quorum, we had all this stuff. Chad Conley makes a motion to adjourn the meeting. Immediately. And the motion to adjourn is non-debatable and all. So you just take a vote. They took a vote and they won the vote and the meeting was adjourned. So people have asked me, and actually right before we got on, one of the county he's called me saying, we hadn't heard back from Drew. What do you think they're going to do? I'm like, well, they're either going to have the meeting and probably immediately adjourn it, or they're probably going to ignore us and do what apparently Drew's done, or have the meeting immediately adjourn, or have the meeting and actually talk about it. And if they actually cared about what was actually doing what is right, about Pickens in this particular instance, talk it out. People get upset with me because I'm like the guy that I'll sit down and talk with anybody as long as you want. They're like, I don't want for too long. She keeps doing that. But what's your alternative? Our alternative is sit there and talk, and get the truth out to people. Or the alternative is to, I'm just never going to meet and or talk with you and, just go fly a kite. So what are we supposed to do on our side of the conservative or Republican fence, other than, I guess we just got to go remove you people. We got to focus on who are the ones that are blocking an actual discussion, who don't want to know what the facts are. And a lot of our state ECs that are relatively new to it, I kind of appreciate their energy in trying to talk to these people. And all the time, you get to the point where they've actually heard some of the evidence. Oh, I didn't know about that. I didn't know about that. Your job is to know about that. Your job is you voted to not seat Pickens County's delegation at the state convention. You voted, at the first quarter, the first state EC meeting after the convention to suspend them, where they can't even use the name and they got it. But you didn't know the details. I mean, in reality, if you don't know the details and all the facts, you should not vote to do those types of things. But my thing is, and God could probably back me up. He's been in it too long, much longer than me. But you realize that's part of their tactics. They plead ignorance. Oh, I didn't really know anything about that. They try to wear you down, a war of attrition. They just keep, have you just go spinning your wheels all day. I'm personally of the belief, just whenever the next reorg is, we just got to go ahead and cut everybody's throat, get rid of everybody, but then I'm the mean guy, right? So I'm like, but you won't sit down and talk to us, so what do you want me to do?
We're at a point that mean needs to happen sometimes.
Right. So,
Jeff,
yes, sir.
So if you got the 5 people or 5 whatever, do they have to still bless it? Or is how?
Well,
It's basically at the discretion of the
Well, then
state chair.
the state chair is deciding to
So
ignore it.
he
To
has-
ignore a rule about having a meeting to just where they're claiming Pickens violated all the rules.
Why can't you have the meeting? If you're in the right, I don't know.
They just, Spartanburg did the same thing, I think, over the last term. American First Precinct DCs called a special meeting, and Curtis Smith just ignored it, did not have a meeting, didn't show up. To me, I hear what you're saying. I'm like, well, y'all should show up and have your own meeting and delegate who's the chair and vote and all that stuff. But even if you voted and
I
created
thought it was more information though, so that.
right, but the other people that need the information won't come to the meeting. Our people all know what happened with Pickens. We all know. So this was to kind of force those people to come to the table and actually hear what the facts are. Because, in reality, and that's what I've talked like with our meetings. So what I want to do with our meetings is, get the resolutions or anything that we're doing at least a week early. If our meeting's on a Monday, get it to you the Monday before and have a Zoom call where people can ask whatever questions on Tuesday or Thursday or both days or whatever, and let people ask the questions about it. You should never vote for something that's a surprise. If you walk into a meeting and you don't know what's on the agenda or you have not read a resolution, you probably shouldn't vote for it if you haven't had an opportunity. There's sometimes exceptions to that if something comes up and it's just, and it's explainable.
It's a black and white thing.
Right. But that's why, like, what those guys and what Frank's working on with the resolutions, we'll get that out hopefully whenever we finish them in the next week or two. He's like, there's me put up, and we'll go ahead and send that out to the body and say, hey, these are the legislative resolutions that we're going to, present to the body. And hopefully, when we're there, they'll be 100% unanimous because it's also all stuff that we agree on. And then the legislative committee can move forward. They're moving forward anyhow, but they can move forward and say, hey, 100% unanimous votes on this out of the Greenville County Executive Committee about stopping the abortion pills being mailed, about closed primaries, school choice, judicial reform, all those types of stuff. So that's
Registration by party.
registration by party.
I can't close the primary if you don't register by party.
Still think you can do it all at one time, can you not? No?
I have serious questions.
Okay. All right.
Because what will happen is because those people who, and it's probably worse in your state than it is mine, is that you've got a lot of people that don't want to close the primary. Like your high level elected officials. So if you go and try and take both of those issues at the same time,
You won't get
There you
either.
won't get
Okay,
either
well,
one.
no, and I understand that. Yes, I get it. I don't think we'll even get registration by party. But they do say they supported the issue of just registration by party, but then anybody can vote in the primaries is really just so Drew only since solicitation letters people were registered Republicans and like save some money on postage. So, but we'll see. We'll see where we go. I think hopefully there's a bigger push now than there has been in the past. And I think a lot of people feel empowered.
Well, our intent this year in North Carolina is to eliminate, if you're not registered in a party, you don't vote in the primary.
You should.
We want to eliminate the unaffiliated.
Yes.
To vote.
No, and yeah, unaffiliated should not be able to vote in Republican or Democratic
Or
party
libertarian or whoever.
or whatever. Yeah, agree 100%. So we're working forward on that. What's next? What do we got? Okay. What's anybody got any?
I have two resolutions after the meeting will go.
Right. Yeah. And realize that part of this is for Ray on the pro-life side. One page, very simple. You can have an addendum, you can have an attachment, but the resolution is one page.
I sent an example.
He's smiling because he writes a lot. I used to write a lot. Now I'm like, keep it simple, stupid.
Yeah.
That's not anyway.
Yes, you'll lose people in the minutia.
And I'm that way because I'm more of an accountant, and you want to have all the backup. And when accountants, just so you know, we would do a tax return, then you'd have a tax work paper file, and everything got put wherever. You'd have A's to A's and B's to B's, and it's just and that's not what litigators do. The litigator attorneys just try to get the big picture. Politicians, big picture. I was always grain more into the details. So problems. So
They keep people going to jail.
yes, they did. They just appeal to a jury and just have to get somebody to side with them. So we're all good. So do you have where you want to update on what your stuff?
Yes, thank you. For those who came last night, I'm sorry you're gonna hear some of this again.
Speak loud, since Olga's not monitoring. Scream.
I know, just in order of things that pop up. Number one, Micah Costley from Lexington County is proposing a bill that would allow expectant mothers to apply for the ADA decal for the car, a temporary decal to let them use the places that are normally reserved for the ADA. There's some pushback from the ADA. Honestly, I've never been any place where the handicaps were full, and it's kind of frustrating to walk halfway across a parking lot of empty spaces that you can't go to. So I really don't. I think ADA is making much ado about nothing on that. Next, I'll be meeting with Frank Farmer next Wednesday to talk about making this county a blue law county as far as abortion goes. He's going to bring one of the county attorneys with him. So I'm not sure how friendly or easy this conversation will be.
So you essentially want to make Greenville County an abortion-free
Yes,
county.
make the county.
Right.
And my argument is I've been to many states. I've never been to a state that didn't allow alcohol sales, but I've lived in many counties where alcohol was completely banned. What I'm running up against, though, is South Carolina is different. Up until I think something like 40 or 50 years ago, county council basically just came up with ideas. They didn't approve anything. It had to go to Columbia. About 40 or 50 years ago, the home rule law was passed, which gave the counties actual authority to do things. But I think the question is, how much authority do they have? Like, they could maybe restrict when an abortion clinic was open, but can they completely shut it down? So
And what percentage of the South Carolina abortions go on in Greenville County?
the legal ones, 52%.
Wow.
This one,
There's 3 abortion clinics in the state, right?
Yes,
Here, Columbia, and Charleston.
yes. So out of the entire state, 52% of all legal abortions take place on Grove Road. Next, I'll be speaking with the Lexington GOP on the 6th of October. It was originally scheduled for next month, but they had, because of the holiday, they pushed their normal meeting back a week, which interrupted into an event I already had scheduled. Let's see, I gave Mark Lynch pro-life talking points. You were copied on that email, I believe. Basically, all the things that we're looking at on the pro-life committee, and I also gave him for each point. There's a lot on it because we have a lot of points, but for each individual point, there's only maybe about 5 minutes worth of material, or maybe even less, that he could read through, so he can at least understand what it is we're talking about. And then we're not just throwing complaints up there. I actually gave him some information he could research to get his own opinion on. Let's see. On 8th of August, Trump administration destroyed $8 million worth of contraceptives and abortifacients that were destined for Africa. What a lot of people don't know is that, yes, we offer, because of Planned Parenthood and similar organizations, even though the U.S. sends literally trillions of dollars of medical care throughout the world, it comes with the price. The country has to accept contraceptives and abortion if they want any of the other medical help. So, so the leaders of this country are faced with a dilemma. The U.S. is offering them to take care of, appendicitis and polio and all these other problems that third world countries have, but only if they enact laws that will allow contraception and abortion to take place.
So you're saying government money comes with strings attached?
No.
Because it's in our school choice fight, I'm told, the government money, there's no strings attached to it. So
Yeah, you've been lied to.
have I been lied to, really?
So, anyway,
Ask Pamela that about the shock.
so this is an important step. $10 million in the grand scheme of things, I know is small, but it's still an important step that is sending a message that the U.S. is starting to change its ways, starting with Trump, and hopefully it'll continue afterwards. On the 14th of November, Flourish, which deals with adoptions, is having a golf tourney to raise money. They have reached out to me to be a sponsor. As we talked about last night, I need to see about maybe getting some donors. But anyway, for anyone who's interested in helping adoption, there's going to be a golf tourney, and all the proceeds are going to go to Flourish adoption agencies. And for those of you who are interested in what goes on at Grove Road, Elizabeth, who's better known as Kawani, was arrested some time ago. She actually drew blood with one of the pro-lifers out there. And the same court system that has been stonewalling us and getting justice has been stonewalling her. But on October 6th, apparently there's been an agreement made with the plaintiff that on October 6th is going to be her trial. So please, everyone, keep in your prayers that the pro-lifers win this case, and she is permanently banned from the sidewalk.
Because she's temporarily banned from the Grove
Yes.
Road.
Yeah.
And is
That would
this
be even better.
is this from the case where she had her arraignment hearing that night and we all went down and saw it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it's been delayed. That was back in March, I think.
Well, that was a while
So-
ago.
Yeah, so the same justice system that was stonewalling us is now stonewalling her.
It's worse. Guy asked me a great question. Did she have a legislative lawyer who represented her?
Well, she wants this trial to happen so she can go back out on the
She may.
sidewalk.
But at her arraignment hearing, and who is, I guess, representing her at the trial, I would assume it's the same person. It was a guy that ran as an independent in the House District 22 race last year. And he literally had knocked on my mother's door. My mother, he said, "Oh, this guy seems like really reasonable and really normal." It just was. He's like, he doesn't like either party, so he's like really in the middle. And then the next time I obviously had to have a discussion. She needed to support the Republican, but that's where I saw him the next time. This is a guy that said he was in the middle of the road, sounded conservative, all that kind of stuff. But then I see him representing Kawani. And now he's representing some other case that's out there too. And it's like, these people, like our saying goes, watch what they do, not what they say. He knocked on my mother's door, told her all this type of stuff, but then he's out there literally representing, probably pro bono, the worst of the worst on the other side of the agenda. So, it was just surprising to me. And just, we'll follow up more on it. So, let me ask you the question, because we know where she works or her husband works. Is he a part owner of that business down the street from here? The catering business that they do?
I do believe, I believe he owns a catering business, but I don't know where it's at.
And why I'm asking this question, because at the Nancy Mace event last week, we could hear, she goes after the trans community and all that kind of stuff. So there was somebody, with a bullhorn outside Bimini's, screaming. We were inside and we could literally hear over. And I'm like, what is that guy? Whose phone's going off? I'm like, there's something going on. And it was Kawani. And Olga went out there and filmed a little bit of it or whatnot. so she's protesting this thing. What are people's thoughts on, should you protest their business, their companies, their that type of stuff? Because I don't think anybody, I mean, I drive by it every day. So, and I'm like, I don't think anybody has any idea what that business represents and is helping fund. And what got me kind of interested in it was, if you've been to Grove Road and they got that big hill and people have to climb the hill to kind of put the ladders up there to see over the fence or whatnot, at some point in time, they poured a bunch of grease and old food and all that stuff where you actually couldn't climb the hill.
Did it come from the catering shop?
Yes. I mean, most assuredly, that's where it came from. And it's kind of like, so this is what Republicans don't fight back as hard as what the Democrats are willing to do to us. You know,
You mean like have 100 people show up in Carmen's business one day?
I mean, just are constantly out. There's one thing going to the abortion clinic and complaining there. What if you go? I think you have to cut toward people's money, find the money, go after their money. That's what's really going on. That's why, like, you know, we all talked about with Greenville County, the fee in lieu of tax issues. You know, I mean, I used to go to those Greenville County, meetings, the county meetings, and I'm like, they go through 5 or 6 different, fee in lieu of tax, and it's like nobody asked a question because nobody understood what they were. And I'm like, that's where all the money is, and that's what's actually now being attacked and going after, which I think is fantastic about the whole process. So, but y'all ought to consider it. That's one thing. One recommendation.
That's a good point. I wrote
Think about that, and I would love to see some protesters out there at their business, because there's probably good conservatives going there that have absolutely no idea.
Right.
So, I mean, that's one point. And one of the things we talked about at the zone meeting last night, and somebody had suggested to me, is, there's grants out there. Maybe there's a group that could do a grant for our pro-life committee.
Right.
And so we'll see if we can find some grant opportunities to help fund what you guys are doing for that. So it's not too cheap to get it.
If I could give one clarification on what was talked about earlier, I'll be done.
Okay.
Just to be clear, in this state, it's impossible to get an abortion pill legally through the mail order. Not saying that you couldn't go through not saying that you can go through the proper procedure and the doctor will mail it to you afterwards. Because to me, that's not mail order. Mail order is you get on the phone or you get on the computer and you order it. It is illegal mainly because the law requires you to actually see the physician in person.
It says in person.
Yes, it's 444180.
Okay. You have to have an ultrasound. Is that part of it too?
Yes, but now we're getting, there's things that are simply impossible to do. There's 2 requirements. The biggest one is you have to see the physician personally. Then there's a whole list of things that theoretically are possible, but from a practical perspective, no.
Right.
And to me, an ultrasound is one of them. The physician himself doesn't have to give you the ultrasound, but you do have to have an ultrasound. There's all kinds of requirements. And I'm sure a typical woman is like, well, I'm going to, I'll get the ultrasound. She's not going to be worried about all the other technical requirements involved. So it's just flat out illegal to get an abortion pill through mail order. It's flat out illegal for a company to send freebies, which they do. They send these to college campuses, to the women's dorms on college campuses. So these things are flat out illegal. There's no 2 ways around it. And then there's a list of things that from a practical perspective, as well as I, that they're not happening. And it's like a cop seeing a man come out of a bar. He can't arrest him because he comes out of the bar. Even though he knows the guy's been drinking, he's waiting for the guy to cross the yellow line with the car. Then he'll pull him over, not because he wants to write him. He really doesn't really want to write him a ticket for crossing the yellow line. He wants to give the guys a ride, he does.
Right.
So he can get to the big stuff. And that's my analogy on how to do it. If we can start getting these companies for doing things illegal, there's a whole laundry list of things they're missing on top of that.
Sure. Okay. Very good. Thank you for that update.
We have a brand new guest next
We have a guest. Would you like to introduce yourself? Have you heard about us?
Well, my name is Mike Shevitz. I'm originally from Pennsylvania, moved to Florida, and moved here a year and a half or so ago, but have been going back and forth to Tennessee to help family. And I've been driving by, and I said, well, I'm gonna get nosy and see if we got conservatives here, or if we have rhinos here.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's why I'm not gonna play with my house. And, you know,
You're in the right.
came
Now
out
you're
of
in the right building now.
I come out of Florida and had to deal with some of that, but I'm hoping that what I hear on the video, we've got some good conservatives here.
Thank you. Well, welcome.
Or there, I don't know.
Oh.
Would you like to introduce yourself?
No? Come on. So you were here looking for Ryan.
Eddie Capolato, my wife's Jean.
Welcome.
Originally from New York, got out of there as soon as I could. But we lived down in Somerville
Okay.
about 13 years. Moved up here about 3 years ago, actually to be closer to our daughter and her son-in-law is in the area.
Sure.
But at this point, we're not allowed in their house. We're cut off. So
Yeah, because they don't like the way
yeah,
they said, it's gonna be serious
yeah,
consequences.
they threatened us.
There.
So
So
here
they
we
put
are.
politics ahead of
Yeah.
family,
So,
that's a sin.
yeah.
It's terrible.
And what's amazing to me is it's like, I don't think we do it in reverse. You know, I mean, we got friends or family members that are liberal and it's like,
Well, like,
hey, you're crazy, but you know, I'm not going to cut you off.
My son-in-law, when he came into the family, okay, we don't agree with his lifestyle and, you know, what he does. We just totally accepted him in the family, just treated him like, you know, even he has kids from other relationships, but we gave him birthday gifts, you know, gifts. But all of a sudden, the election's coming up and he freaked out. So they thought Trump was gonna be in jail. And he was gonna be out of the picture in jail. So when the election came up, it got worse and worse and worse, especially after the election. I was like, you know, like,
But we do see, I mean, we do see our
she's
grandchildren,
allowed to
they
go
come
on.
to our house, but we're not allowed to go to their house because of the husband.
So we have, you know, so we have friends coming over for Labor Day on Monday.
Good.
We have our neighbors, we have great neighbors.
Good.
So that's what we're
Well, we
doing.
get along with our daughter, but it's
It's a cool
just,
point. Yeah.
politics.
Very, very.
I can't believe the way anything.
Yes.
All those issues.
In my thing, I actually enjoy talking to them.
Yeah.
And I like to hear, I'm like, can you explain it to me why you think,
See, that's the
You
thing.
won't talk, because we
No, I
have,
asked
maybe
him, I
you
said,
should talk to
So
him.
how about we have a sit down?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have a problem with me? Let's talk about it. Oh, no.
He doesn't have to.
Not allowed.
explain it.
No talking. Yeah, but I did some of my daughter a list, like this, of all the things I thought was wrong with him. All the shit, like, no comment on any of that, no comment at all. So there's no conversation
And
about
I,
any of that.
you know, I was talking, he said, don't is useless, don't be close now. Get it.
Yeah.
it's the tolerant left.
To see
Right.
it, somehow, she says something, but nothing yet.
Well, I would expect them to get more delusional over the next 3.5 years because,
One more thing.
Hold on, guys.
Doing, I said, you know, something to her about that. She said,
And I'm told that, they run into Ginger,
Yeah.
Labra?
yeah,
Yeah.
Ginger was wearing the trencher.
Yeah.
yes, they
It's on the
started
police
talking
force.
to her.
They,
Do y'all know what precinct you live in?
they're in Spartanburg.
Oh, you're in Spartanburg County.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Inman, okay, yeah. We have the Spartanburg County. We took over, pushed out the rhinos here in Greenville, which is the biggest county, so it's kind of like was their crown jewel of the state or whatever. Yeah, so we pushed the rhinos out in 2021 after the election steal of 2020 and all that kind of stuff. And it very interesting history there, and you kind of really see how rhinos work. But our friends over in Spartanburg pushed out the establishment there this year.
They're similar. or-
Yes.
They do it
yes.
actually on Saturday.
Saturday morning.
So I'll give you information
Yeah,
before you
sure.
leave.
Yeah.
And yeah, they're great.
They call it their camp meetings, but look, Google up Spartanburg America First camp meetings. So, yes,
We got,
glad you're here. Welcome.
we got a couple of first-time guests here, Merrill and Nori Gildersleeve.
Which is the coolest last name. I mean, it sounds like they should be royalty. Yeah, that's why I love the last name. But you've been here. I mean, you haven't been maybe to a coffee in politics, but,
Right.
but tell us your story. You told a little bit of your story last night.
There was
So me.
an old radio show with Trevor McGee and Molly, and they had the Great Gildersleeve
Right.
years ago. So everyone liked the show. So
I just like
no,
the name. You just sound like royalty. That's what I keep always going back to that name. So it's great. So glad y'all are here. Y'all are in our Rock Hill precinct, right? So welcome.
Well, we moved here in 1998. Nori grew up in the Chicago area, and I grew up on a farm in the middle of Iowa. And I guess we've been married 49 years.
Congratulations. Wow.
They're just kids.
Yeah. Good. Fantastic. Yes.
Just an interesting point on what we were just talking about. As I was driving down today, I was listening to Pat and Stu that were doing it for Glenn Beck.
Okay.
And they were covering a new Quinnipiac survey. And there was an interesting question. They asked Trump supporters and Kamala Harris supporters, have you ever cut off a family member from political discussion because of, or do you avoid political discussion with family members? Less than 10% of the Trump supporters did. 40+% of Kamala Harris supporters said they have ended family relationships because of politics. So there's your, I'm sorry, just perfectly.
Yeah, I mean, it's
tolerant left.
It sounds like a cult to me.
Right. But we're the crazy ones.
Yeah.
But that's why I like talking to them, because I'm like, some of these issues, I mean, it's just, this is plain as, I mean, we had the school shooting this week. We were talking about it before we went on. But I'm like, if you had teacher carry, if teachers were allowed to carry, you have a lot, or what do you want to talk about that?
Well,
There's various ways to skin a cat in it, but I mean, Henry Master's happy we're going to have an SRO in every school, public school. I don't think. I mean, is that going to stop anything? My mother was a school principal and whatnot, and she I hate to throw her under the bus, or if that's doing it, but she would say, whenever they would have an issue where you kind of needed somebody there, the SRO was always on patrol, right? Walking around the outskirts of the school, probably sleeping somewhere. I mean, I hate to be rude about, but that's the kind of thing. I mean, a school is a big facility. One person, if I'm the shooter, I'm going to wait till I see the SRO walking out,
I'm just going to take him out first thing.
take him out and then head on into the school.
If I'm going to go shooting people in a school, I would think the person in uniform is going to be the first one I'm going to shoot.
So that's the other thing. Maybe the SRO should be, plain clothes.
They're not going to be sane in the first place. So
It really boils down to, they know if you're armed, they'll take advantage. I mean, if they know you're armed, they will take advantage of you.
That's
If
right.
they know you're
If
not,
not armed, they will.
they will take advantage.
Because we
That's
did
what it
get
boils down to.
not permitless carry, but we got open carry here in the state of South Carolina. We didn't get constitutional. We just got open carry.
Oh, okay.
I don't think. I mean, maybe I'm mistaken.
Advertising it
It's not
as the 29th.
It's not constitutional carry, right? You're the expert. Permitless.
Permit carry. Yeah, that's constitutional carry.
But we don't have permitless carry.
Yeah.
If I have a concealed weapon, I can open carry.
No, in South Carolina now, you can carry concealed without.
open
permit,
carry?
right?
So I need a permit
Concealed carry.
to conceal carry.
You do not need a permit for concealed carry in South
No.
I had a
You're
conversation
very-
one for
You're very restricted on where you can carry though. So
Yes,
it's not-
they can
It's not
restrict.
true constitutional carry, so.
Okay.
Like, you can't go
A
to
private
Walmart
business can
and-
restrict, say,
Right.
And actually, you can't go to, couldn't be in a church.
Yeah,
Unless you
Churches were always,
my
Yeah,
former
unless
agent
you
is
get
funny about
permission
that.
from the pastor.
Right.
Written permission. from the
yes.
pastor.
Okay.
So like the previous school shooting, even if some of the parents probably could carry, it would probably work, because they're not allowed in the church.
Right.
A lot of the laws in that state.
Well, the issue is always, it's going to be all these mass shootings and stuff, because if we go that route,
Teachers start shooting students.
but I mean, nothing has occurred. Nothing, literally,
That was.
I don't even see people open carry, because
I do. I've seen.
open carry, well, I've seen a few, but I mean, not like they thought it was going to be the Wild Wild
Oh,
West.
no, everybody's gonna start packing guns and shooting each other.
Well, actually, the concealed carry is much more of a deterrent because the criminal never knows who is and who isn't.
Which is back to an SRO who's in uniform, where's the deterrent? I just wait till the guy left or I take him out first.
Because I asked the sheriff of Chester County, who was up at an event my sheriff had, and I said, so you're telling me now if I'm coming to South Carolina, then I can conceal carry? He said, unless you've got a felony on your record or a reason that you have been found mentally unstable, yes. Even if you're from out of state, as long as you have none of the restrictions.
As long as you can legally own a firearm.
Bingo.
So even if you're a North Carolina citizen, you come here, you can.
Yeah.
It's better than I thought it was. I thought we still had that.
We're in 30 states now. Unfortunately, we're still fighting it in North Carolina, but but our private schools can now be armed.
And y'all just did that. That was a veto override last week.
Overrides 2 weeks ago. Yeah.
Okay. Very good. Congratulations in North Carolina. So, you were telling us, and I thought this was a neat idea about, especially with the school shooting. What was your thing about having? I believe in let teachers carry. I've always heard the argument back. Well, if a teachers carry, concealed carry, whatnot, maybe they put it on their desk and the kid gets it and there's a problem. You actually had a solution for that.
I've designed a program, and I've actually got a couple of my North Carolina legislators, and I'll be happy to talk with any of yours. And it is to put all over school facilities fingerprint access gun safes. And any of the employees, whether teachers, I don't care, teacher, janitor, whatever, that goes through the proper law enforcement training will have access to. They'll be able to access the safe. Now, there'll be safes where there are guns and aren't guns, and any of the people who have access will know where firearms are located. It uses, everybody remember the life alert? Falling, I can't get up. Every employee of the school will have a pendant. And if they see something that is suspicious, they hit the pendant, and it will immediately alert all of the properly trained employees immediately, where they can get to where they know there is going to be a firearm so they can be prepared. The reason that I actually worked with my sheriff on this, and we got talking about, he said, guys, so the scariest thing is when we do these trainings, it always seems like it's the 5 foot tall, 105 pound female that is the most trainable and actually the most accurate in firearms. And the fear there is if you're carrying and Thuggy knows you're carrying, and you go around the corner into a hallway where Thuggy and 2 of his friends are there, all of a sudden that teacher may have potentially armed the problem side, where if it's locked in the secure safe, except at the time when it needs to be needed or is needed to be used. It was just a fail-safe idea that we came up with that like I said, we're going to probably look at putting it in a couple of schools next year.
But think about it, you got a fire extinguisher, you got one of those defibrillators. Imagine if there was a box, several boxes around a school that the other side or the crazy person wants to come shoot up school thinks there might be guns in it that people have access to. Whether it's
like I said, we put a big sign up across from the school says, beware, we have armed personnel. We have trained armed personnel. Right?
Yeah.
It's a deterrent.
That was
I
like,
had a gun store, and as long as I had a Glock in my shoulder holster, in the 15 years we had the store, we were never robbed while I was there.
You had a gun store?
We did have a gun store
Really?
in Georgia years ago.
Wow.
And as soon as I would leave, or my husband would leave, someone would come and run the register without any ordinance on their body. Then the kids would come in and rob the store when we weren't there. It is a detriment, but you've got to let them know whether you can shoot or not. If you're packing and they see it, they're not to bother you. That's why I think we should have legislation allowing grannies to carry shoulder holsters on the street.
well, I think we should have legislation that outlaw gun-free zones.
Yes, that's my big issue, the gun-free zone, because that's where they always.
90% of mass shootings happen in gun-free zones.
Yes.
I mean, that's law enforcement proven
That's
statistics.
why they're going for our churches and our schools.
Just ask Cole
Exactly.
Younger. Just ask Cole Younger. Northfield Bank. James boys and the Younger gang got together, robbed Northfield Bank, only the rest of the town didn't put up with it.
Oh,
They arrested the Youngers and the James boys were never a problem
Oh, yeah.
again.
okay. I got you.
Did anyone ever bring up any kind of X-ray machines
You look at the
for
airport,
people to walk through? It's crazy to come to this.
Yeah, it's crazy stuff. But I personally don't. I'm not a huge proponent of that because kids have to walk through metal detectors and all that stuff. It's an educational place,
I know.
and I kind of hate to see us go that route, But if you let teachers care, I mean, you have vets and stuff that are now teachers.
Teachers to carry.
Yeah, but if they're gonna come in and shoot for school, they're just gonna go through that detector.
Oh yeah, yeah, true too.
The bing, bing, bing is not going to stop it.
Yeah, so that's the other half of it too. So, yes. Okay. What else? Who's got an issue or topic they're curious about, current event? Yes, ma'am.
I have an appointment with Sheriff Lewis.
Oh, you have it? Good.
This
Okay.
is a union one
Yes.
for September 16
Okay.
at 2:30.
It's okay.
We have your topics. So I don't,
Yeah.
sorry.
Bob.
Never,
Okay. Okay.
no,
He's had group up.
you had gotten a letter last week.
Yes.
I remember.
Yeah, and what she's talking about is we want to ask our local Greenville sheriff why we are not deputized and or participating to the full extent of the
287G.
287G provisions. There's obviously the 3 different levels. If you ask the sheriff, this says, oh yeah, we signed up with that. Well, we've signed up with the lowest level. Why are we not signing up with the maximum level? Kind of which is what it seems like they're doing in Florida. And I think 5 states total are full on board with it. Why are we not doing that?
Every county except for 7.
Okay. So, but I mean, if they're doing it in every county in North Carolina except for 7, to the full extent or just the lower levels?
But that's what happened with this, again, a piece of legislation we just had an override on. The sheriffs, those 7 counties, if they do not fully cooperate with ICE now, they can be prosecuted and removed.
Because we're seeing it going on in other states. We have apparently the statistics are we have 105,000 illegals in the state of South Carolina. 35,000 of them are criminal illegals in the sense that more than just violating the law, but
with 350,000 actually, probably 80 to 100,000.
you take it 10 times. But I mean, whatever the number is, we actually have from the top level, the authority and the backing to get it done. I remember asking in the old days, well, why is the sheriff not doing anything? Oh, it's a Democratic administration. We don't have any support. We can't do that. The law doesn't allow us to do it. Now the law allows us to do it. Why are we not doing it? Right? So again, watch what they do, not what they say. They say they want to do it, but our hands are tied. Well, now your hands aren't tied. Why are you not doing it? So this is where the politicians, even the ones that we think are good, are sitting there. So you went ahead and sent a letter.
I gave you a copy.
Yes, yes. So y'all are working that. We may send one on official Greenville GOP letterhead and kind of, I don't really care what the answer. I mean, he needs to address it.
Exactly.
But we just or he can just do it. Just go ahead and push forward. I mean, we'd rather get his participation in the program to the full extent versus whole political battle. Just go ahead and do it. So, but why are we not doing it? It's like the craziest thing I've ever seen. So,
I mean, so like why we don't require CDL holders to read and speak English.
I know. But talking about the accident down in Florida, which is crazy. So, I mean, just watching it is mind blowing. So, all right, what's next?
I have another thing that I want to bring up. There's going to be there is a mayor's race in New York City.
Oh, yeah.
And are we going to, write any postcards or do anything to support what's going on there? like we did for Pennsylvania
We
and.
did that, for Trump and all that kind of stuff. We have not, nobody's brought it up. It's not, so I think we'll probably focus more on the local elections that we have here. I think we'll be more effective at it. I think we were very effective at helping, and a lot of people don't know, Greenville County or Greenville GCRP, we were like the number 5 Trump Force 47 call banking team in the nation. That's just what we did on the Trump Force 47. We also participated in the Scott Presser stuff, sending postcards.
Right.
That's what we wanted, but we want to take the skills that we learned from doing that stuff, postcard, and do it locally. Because we do have the opportunity there. The city of Greenville in 2019 became Democrat under our predecessor. We took over in 21, but the good Republicans before let the city of Greenville go blue. And and they say we are the losers and we lose. I mean, it literally makes no sense.
City elections don't matter.
Oh, yeah, city elections don't matter. But and they also, our predecessors also had for 25 years a Democratic probate judge, which we fixed in 2022. I mean, you could literally become the probate judge if you ran as a Republican, if you ran straight ticket. I think in Greenville County, I think you needed like an extra 5,000 votes or something over the straight ticket vote. And our predecessors, all of it for 20 some years, didn't even run a Republican as a probate judge. So we let Deborah Faulkner, and obviously it came out, everything in 2020 with COVID and all that kind of stuff. But it's like, why would you never run a Republican probate judge? They just never did. We fixed that. So now Greenville County does have every county-wide officer is Republican for the first time ever, starting in 2022. So, but I think Greenville County or the city of Greenville went blue in 2019. November 2019, we have an opportunity in 2 competitive races this year against Democrats, which we may have the opportunity to flip those seats. One is the citywide at-large seat that Russell Stahl is vacating. Russell Stahl is Democrat at-large, so the whole city would vote on him, and he's not running for re-election. So we've got Matt Alexander against Tina Belge. Tina Belge, she's a Democrat, but Matt Alexander is obviously the person we support. And then there's the other race, which is Mike Kilgore. He's in Greenville District 2. So it's like about 12 precincts or so in the southern part of the city, which is off Augusta Road, all that area. A lot of it's been redistricted. So it has been a Democratic district, obviously, for 44 years, because Lillian Fleming has been there for 44 years. Imagine that.
Longer than I've been alive.
Yeah, she keeps that's always her stick. She's trying to tell us all
Before I
she is.
moved from Greenville.
Right. So Lillian Fleming, and how old is Lillian?
Oh, I don't know.
But she's been there for 44 years, and it's time for a change. And I think through the redistricting and taking part of that south of Augusta Road, I think we've got a good shot at that. So, but if we flip one of those seats, the city of Greenville will turn back to a Republican, which I think will be a huge win for all of us. So we're excited about that. But we do have some other municipal races. These are smaller races where we can help some of these municipalities, maybe flip those back to more conservative too. So we're working on a lot of that. And I think if we spend our time on those local races, New York, I'm not sure what to do about New York.
I think we might have to actually descend into the depths of hell before.
I mean, let that guy win, so all more of the New York conservatives will move here. So, because they are, that's the joke. People here, local people have been here forever. They all complain about all these people moving here. I'm like, these are the people who are actually fighting for it. The people we're fighting down at the State House, a lot of them are, lifers, my classmates, people I went to high school with or college with or law school with, and it's like, you're the problem. But, us as conservatives are living here. We always feel like, oh, everything's good because my buddy from high school's, state senator or House rep. I'm like, no, that's the problem. So, but if you don't know, you didn't know. So appreciate you guys coming here and helping us with the fight. So, because y'all don't care what anybody thinks about you. Most of the Southerners do. They want to be nice.
City council members are there?
City council, there are 6 plus the mayor, so 7.
And how about county council?
12. So we got 10 Republicans and 2 Democrats.
So with the city, the mayor is
The mayor, I guess, is the tiebreaker for that.
and technically the mayor is Republican.
Yes.
So,
Knox White. So,
yeah. Um,
Yeah, that's.
but I did go, and you got to, take everything you get out of ChatGPT and Grok and all that stuff with a grain of salt, because I actually typed it in just part of the experiment. I mean, it's good for if you write stuff or something like that. But I put it in there. I said, give me the list of all the Greenville, city of Greenville, council members and their political party, and when's their next election. I was like, let's see what this thing can do. And of course, it identified Knox White as a Democrat and John DeWorkin as a Republican. Identified him. And I was so tipped, and I was going to take a picture of him, send it to DeWorkin, and say, "Oh, ChatGPT, make sure I'm a Democrat." So, but I mean, it's that stuff. I mean, constantly wrong. So be careful if you are using those tools. So it's good for some stuff, but some stuff it's not too good for. So
that being said, if anyone would like to get involved, you've never like door knocked, or this, the weather is getting so nice, we are starting to doing door knocking. Maybe not. I mean, we're doing some this weekend, but it's a holiday weekend. But starting next week, every weekend, we will be door knocking, whether it's the city of Greenville. We have some races in city of Simpsonville, city of Malden, Greer, Travelers Rest. So if you would like to help, just let us know, send us email, let the office staff know we will put you to work. So again, it's about door knocking. We have all these computers here who can come and be doing some data stuff for us if you like sitting in front of a computer.
So whatever you're comfortable with. Not everybody's comfortable knocking on the door, but maybe you're okay doing some research on the computer and helping us, or sending emails or sending texts, those types of things. So.
And as I said yesterday, these races are great to get involved because it's not to be competing with other Republican candidates. You are educating people mostly about elections. So it's basically about the voter turnout. We are door knocking to let people know they are elections. They have no idea if there's anyone on the ballot in November, right? So it's really easy. There is no
It's really almost to get reminding people there's an election and get out to vote. Get them out to vote. And we're concentrating. We're not calling everybody. We don't want to call the Democrats, but all the Republicans or people we think are in the middle and lean our way. We want to remind them. Even if they're in the middle and they're not hardcore Republicans, I mean, there's probably a 75% chance they're going to vote for the conservative. So it's really just a get out the vote effort. And when in these races, when there's low turnout and you're talking, 10, 15%, your vote is worth 10 votes, right? So, I mean, if 90% of the people aren't voting, your one vote, instead of just being 1 out of 10, you represent all 10 of those people.
Yeah.
So that's, it is a real turnout, election. In some of these municipalities, I mean, we see people win by 10 or 20 votes.
I mean, Channel Rear won, and he ran up by, I think, 17 votes in Simpsonville. And now we have Jerry sat, I think, here. Jerry is one running for city of Simpsonville elections. There are 3 people in the race currently, so Jerry is one of them.
But think about Simpsonville. I mean, it's a lot of these municipal races are not necessarily, municipal votes and what they do in the municipalities aren't necessarily controversial. So, but does become a time when it becomes a controversial issue. And right now we're probably in Simpsonville 3 solid conservative votes, 4 that would probably go the other way. If we can flip this 1 seat, we've got a nice block of 4 for anything that is controversial that comes up. So if a bathroom bill comes up in the city of Simpsonville, I think we can win it. But today, I don't know if we would or not. That type of stuff. So that's where we can really make a huge difference. And that's do we spend the time helping New York City, which may need to go deeper into the abyss before it flips over and comes back, or do we save Simpsonville before it gets?
I mean,
It's real.
and Cuomo is actually the moderate candidate.
Right. That is a little spooky. So yeah, I see some heads shaking back there.
So if you like to exercise, if you like to go on walks daily, you come to us, we'll tell you where to go on your walk. You'll get your exercise on and you may influence election in a good way.
And even, and think about, if you want to get out, even on the door knocking side of it, we can help where instead of door knocking, talk to me, just do lit drops.
So you don't have to
put
talk
door
to
hangers and all that kind of
just
stuff.
hang that door hanger on their door.
Right.
If you're maybe afraid to be talking.
Or if they've got a doorbell, walk up and smile with them.
Right.
You can't.
But-
then-
There are few
But be
rules,
nice.
we teach people how to do it. There are few rules as a door knocker that you're supposed to follow.
Yeah.
Especially now that there's.
Stay on the sidewalk, don't walk across their
And do
manicure
not
lawn.
pull at the
Yeah.
mail or the opponent's mail out of the mailbox.
Yes.
That is
They're not that good.
Oh,
We had that, we still have it. Somebody actually asked me the other day what the current status is on that elect. I mean, I don't know if we've got a video where we literally had somebody send us the Ring doorbell video where a state Senate candidate walked up to their door, rang the doorbell first, and that's even crazier, and then opened up their mailbox because it's one of those neighborhoods where the mail, and took out his opponent's flyer,
And stick it in his pocket.
stuck in his pocket.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
And
What-
that
what-
person opened the door.
Talk
and
to him.
talked to him, and we have, it's like, don't do that.
So I think he thinks he's clear. He's probably hired a lawyer and legislator to represent him. But it's been a very interesting thing. Like,
That's funny. We're not gonna mention names, but they probably may have hired a lawyer legislators whose flyer he saw in the first place.
that is true.
That is true. Could be true. We don't know. Because, anyway, long story.
That's true.
That's funny.
Because later on, that candidate ended up endorsing the person whose mailer he stole.
Who's now is
Who is a lawyer legislator who is our state senator here locally. And it's very interesting. So very, very interesting. So
So
what
you
else?
have some fun with in politics too.
Well, first off, remember Brown for NC.com.
absolutely.
Guy is working with Brown
For NC.com. Don Brown, he's running for the U.S. Senate seat. It's become a very interesting situation since as of Friday, now former RNC chair is his opponent in the primary that seems to be working hard to block us from getting fundraisers to work with us. So we are now working on our program now is Stop GOP Inc. INC period, because they're running it like a corporation, and it's just interesting. So anybody that's watching this in Western North Carolina, or anybody who would like to help with Mr. Brown's campaign, his website is Brown, the word for FORNC.com. And you'll learn a lot about Don. He's a very interesting individual and a world-class constitutional attorney, served on 3 of the law teams that helped with the post-2020 election seal.
J6.
Yep, he's gotten a pardon for one of the J6 guys. He also arranged for the pardon for a gentleman named Clint Morant, who was illegally charged with murder because of the Obama rules of engagement in Afghanistan. They killed 2 bomb makers and then got his whole platoon to say either you testify against him or we're charging all of you with accessory for murder. And he actually ended up serving almost 5 years and was given a pardon in 2019. But it makes you understand that sometimes our military is not. The people on the ground are great. Unfortunately, some of the people who are directing who's on the ground aren't. Right. And now, fortunately, there's a major purge going on.
It's all over the place. Christmas every day. And they're Persian themselves too. But brown4nc.com.
Yes.
So, and he's written a couple books and all that
Oh,
good
yeah, he's
stuff.
got 16 published books, 4 of which have been national bestsellers. He was one of the main players in the exposure of the shoot down of Extortion 17. If you're not aware of that, it was August 6, 2011, in Afghanistan, where we basically sacrificed the largest number of special operators in the history of the U.S. military, where we had 16 members of SEAL Team 6 and 30 special operators shot down flying into a war zone in an unarmed helicopter.
Unarmed?
Uh-huh. And actually had 2 Cobra gunships and an AC-130 gunship that were in the area, but were not allowed to get closer in the area because, again, of the rules of engagement.
Really? And they see one
Oh, yeah, an AC-130
And like,
gunship.
Above the Magic Dragon, they can put a 30 caliber bullet in every inch of the football field
Yep.
in less than 2
I
minutes.
watched, I had my daughter, was a pilot.
A lot less than 2 minutes.
If you'd like, I've got one other thing. now.
Sure, please do.
I was talking to some of my friends. I do a lot of work with Moms for Liberty in North Carolina. And of course, one of the big things is we've got to get these garbage books out of these particularly school libraries.
Right.
Public library, they need to be age appropriate, but they don't need in school libraries to start. So there's a lady who's a librarian, and she happened to be walking by when there was a case of books that were delivered one day. And, had one of the students that was in there that was just going through and, checking everything in. And she happened to notice 2 or 3 of the books that she was pretty sure they didn't order. And they were basically child porn. So she called their representative with their book supplier and said, I don't think we ordered these. Why are these here? And he said, well, we've made an agreement with several organizations, the driving force being one called the Human Rights Campaign. If you're not familiar with the HRC there. And he said, oh, they're providing us X number of books for each shipment that just get shipped in the library.
They're called bonus books.
Yes, bonus
books, they call them. Yeah.
And now that school is starting back, we've just got to pay attention because they're now going after the 5 and 6 year olds. We've got 6 books that were being reviewed by one of our citizen panels in North Carolina that came out of a K-2 school. So that's just something I want to make sure people are paying attention to because it's exactly how we end up with things like the school shooter that showed up on.
The battle does not end when you think you've solved it. They keep coming back. They keep coming back.
They want you to believe the battle's over, or you've won the war, so you don't have to worry about another battle.
Right. So, and that's what we're fighting on the what's the first steps in South Carolina, the pre-K learning program that the Freedom Caucus gave more money to, so they can actually do more of their stuff. So it's one of our beefs. The Freedom Caucus talks about the fact that they're all limited government, all that kind of stuff. Well, they actually led the pre-K reading program. It sounds great, right? Watch what they say, not what they do, but watch what they do, not what they say. But I mean, they led the expansion of and turning into permanent law the First Steps legislation after somebody invested some money and all that kind of stuff. But it's like, why are we supporting bigger government, more pre-K learning programs, all those types of things? And that's actually one of the directions where I heard that bonus book thing, is because they were getting books. The pre-K learning program gets books, and they send them out to kids. And they get all these extra bonus books, and it's coming from the publishers and all that stuff. You think it's nice? Oh, here's some free books. It's like, no, not if you open the cover.
And particularly if you go to the HRC's website and look at who their platinum, gold, and silver sponsors are.
Look, the Human Rights Campaign, and I think it's hrc.com or something like that. I've actually looked at .org, but if you go there and you look at that, and that's literally, for our pro-life friends, what they're doing out at Grove Road, they will rate cities based on different levels, and everybody wants to get 100, right? So you've got a checklist of things, and part of it is about arrests at the abortion clinics and all that kind of stuff. So that's why from my perspective, the debate is, why was Hobart Lewis not enforcing the law at the abortion clinic? It's because he wanted to get the city of Greenville a higher rating on the HRC list. Why do we want a higher
I
rating?
think the best grade to have on the
Zero.
HRC list is a zero.
Right. I mean, I want a failing grade on whatever they're pushing. But, it's human nature, though. I want to have better
It's
grades.
the human rights campaign. It's got to be
Sounds
lovely
great.
and wonderful.
Right. Until you dig in a little bit. So, all right. What else? Anything else good?
Otherwise, and then anyone has any announcements? Anything?
Any announcements? Congressman Biggs' office? Anything they want?
Ready to get back to work. August recess is almost over.
Yeah.
Ready to head back to DC and work on the budget.
Very good. Do you go to DC or you're here?
I'm here.
Okay. All right. Good. Very good.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn. Do we have a second?
Second.
50 seconds. All right. We're out. Have a great week. Busy week next week, and we'll see you next Friday.
Yeah, that's not bringing up that HRC thing.
Yeah.